All right. Happy Thanksgiving week. Hope everybody's doing well. Looking forward to the game on Saturday, obviously, in Eugene. Should be a fantastic game against the number one team in the country. Certainly have a lot of respect for the way they play and the quality of team that they are. And we have to certainly bring our best team with us for the game on Saturday. Should have a good week. Had a good practice yesterday. Practice tomorrow, Wednesday, Thanksgiving. And then get on the plane Friday and go. So certainly looking forward to it, though. Good bye week. Had a lot of good work on us last week, and now a lot of good work on them starting yesterday.
You have a starter for this weekend? Anybody different than you would usually have?
Anyone starting differently? No, I think we'll be. We won't announce any starters regarding the quarterback position, if that was the question. And then as for the other positions, I think we'll have our usual starters out there.
Jedd, you guys are a 19.5 point underdog, and I don't think anybody's going to say that you can win this football game. How do you combat that with your football team?
Yeah, we talk about really us, and we talk about when we play at our best. What does that look like? And if we can continue to play it, if we can have a 60-minute game where we play at our best, we'll let the score speak for itself there at the end. But our guys believe that when we do execute offensively, defensively in the kicking game, then that gives us a chance to compete with everybody and beat teams that are favorites, let's call it. On the same token, we also know that if we don't play at our best, then we'll certainly have a huge challenge in front of us. It is not a team that we can just be okay and win. So we know we're going to have to play really good. We can't turn the ball over. When we get down in the red area, we're going to have to score touchdowns. We're going to have to take the ball away from them. We're going to have to find ways to put them in long down and distances, and then we got to get off the field. So we got our work cut out for us, but our team's excited and ready to go.
Is the quarterback situation resolved, though? I mean, do you know who you're starting and kind of like you plan to?
Yeah, I have a good idea on how we're going to do that.
You mentioned wanting to see how both Damon and Will responded from Saturday. What did you see throughout the week?
Yeah, we had 4 practices. I was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday. So we were able to see those guys go out there and rotate through with the 2 different lines, the 2 different sets of receivers. Really, I think Will's experience showed up at practice, being able to, a guy that has started 51 games, a guy that has understood all the different elements, and a guy that's kind of been able to handle some ups and downs. He's had some adversity in his career when he was at Mississippi State. So I think for Will, he certainly was able to take a deep breath and handle it really well this week. On the same token, Damon's energy and Damon's confidence showed up. His ability to jump right in and feel really good about leading the group whenever it was his turn. He did a really nice job there as well. So I think both guys responded well to the week of practice. And now, really, it's important for us that the guy that we believe will start the game, gets a significant amount of reps in practice week. But, as you know, we're not afraid to play 2 quarterbacks as well.
As a coach, how hard is it to prepare for 2 different style of quarterbacks?
I think you'd have to ask them that question. I think there's times that you would say schematically they do a lot of the things the same with both guys in there, and then other times you would say that there's certain, really more in the running game, there's certainly different things that we do when Damon's at quarterback than when Will's at quarterback. But in the passing game, it's pretty similar, so I think they'd have to just make a decision on how much time they want to spend defending a certain run game versus how much time they want to defend a different running game.
So much success at home this season, less so on the road. What do you think this team has learned about going on the road and facing some of the more hostile environments in the country, including this week?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone on the road and played in the whiteout, right, at Penn State. We played in the blackout at Rutgers. We played at Iowa and then Red Out at Indiana, right? So those were our 4 road games outside of going to Lumen Field. But our 4 plane trips, were all unique in itself. And 2 of those games were, 9 a.m. kicks, body time, and one of them was on a short week across the country, and one of them was a night game at the Whiteout. So we've learned a lot in those experiences, each one being different, each one having its own uniqueness to it. Being able to start fast and then not finish, being able to finish strong and not start nearly as fast, having a major hiccup at halftime, really against Rutgers, where it's 7-3, we block a kick and then have to go back on the field. So we've had a lot of learning that's gone on in those 4 games, I would say specifically on the road. But this is another opportunity to go into an incredible environment, very hostile environment, probably the most hostile of all of the environments, I would assume, on rivalry weekend. It's going to be loud. It's going to be energetic. It's going to be enthusiastic. They're fighting to become, undefeated this season and then get ready to play in the Big Ten championship game. They've got a lot that they're excited about in terms of how they're playing football right now. They've got some guys, I'm sure it's their senior day, so they have a lot of older players that just got there or have time to graduate. So I would assume that it's going to be an incredible environment to play football in, and we need to embrace that and see if we can have a little bit of we have poise in the noise and be able to handle that crowd.
Are you getting a sense of how much hatred there is between these 2 fan bases and programs?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd have to be on social media to see that, and I try to avoid that during the season. I'd say that, you catch glimpses of it. It's not hard to know. Like, I've told our team that. I mean, it's by region, right? So, there's excessive hatred in Auburn, Alabama. In that game, there's excessive hatred in Michigan, Ohio State in the Midwest, and there's certainly excessive hatred in the Pacific Northwest between Washington and Oregon. And that's the beauty of college football, and that's the beauty of these games, and that's what you're looking for. You hope that it just becomes it's a great football game, and you hope that the emotions don't take over, that you wind up becoming undisciplined, or it becomes the penalty fest that we lived through week 3 of the season, right? We haven't had a game like that since the last rivalry game we played. We have to, we had 2 penalties against UCLA. We had 5 penalties the week before that. We had, I think it was 4 or 6 penalties against SC. We need to play a clean game. So I want us to have all the great energy and enthusiasm and let the fans have the hatred, but we just need to go out there and have poise. Because if we have poise and we play good fundamental football, I think we could have a good football game.
This was Apple Cup week forever and ever. Do you like that Oregon has sort of replaced that? Do you think it's a good thing for Washington football that Oregon is the final regular season opponent going forward, if that ends up being the case?
I think it's really good that your conference opponent is your you have a conference game to end your season. So being the fact that the conference is the Big Ten and Oregon's in the Big Ten and we're in the Big Ten, I think that's a necessity to end the season with. Just like Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, now Texas A&M, now that they're both in the SEC. I just think that having a conference rivalry game has so much impact on the season that's what makes it special. And the fact that we can continue to do that with a team like Oregon is great. It just makes it challenging that you would now have week 3 or 4, another rival, a different rival, an in-state rivalry game. But Iowa State has done it forever, and we'll have to learn from them and make sure we handle, that game earlier in the season and then this game later.
Jedd, you said Penn State was the worst game that you guys have played all season. They're the best team you guys have played this season. What lessons do you kind of take away from that for this Oregon experience?
Yeah, we just have to. We have to finish. We have to finish drives early in games. We've had, the Iowa game and the Penn State game, and Indiana. The first drive our offense went out there, we were inside the 30-yard line in all 3 of those. We got a field goal blocked on the 11-yard line against Iowa in the first drive of the game. we had a interception on a double pass against Indiana on the 30-yard line in the first drive of the game. And we had a field goal missed against Penn State on the first drive of the game when we got to the 22-yard line. So all 3 games that we started, we could have gone up and taken the lead in all 3 of those games, and we didn't in any of the 3. So the biggest message that I have for our guys is we've had a 12-play drive, a 15-play drive, and an 11-play drive in those 3 games, and all of them resulted in no points. We need to find a way to have that first drive of the game the best we can result in points, and then see how the game plays from there.
With the bye week, anybody dramatically improve health-wise? Anybody you're getting back?
No, I don't think so. I think it'll be, I don't think there's any change in terms of who we played with against UCLA that who will be playing with against Oregon, other than that Mikel Esteen's back cleared. That I know we lost him in the second or third quarter of the game against UCLA. He's back. And then other than that, I don't see any change currently in the injured list.
It's getting to be portal season almost here. Do you have any sense that you might have to fight to keep some guys who are on your roster?
Oh yeah, I mean I think there's no question that in this day and age that you have to make sure that everyone on your team sees where they land and where their value is, and everyone on your team understands what plans you have for them in the future. And you know, as we're trying to build and construct the roster a certain way, those are conversations that we'll have with every player starting next week, and we'll talk about where do they see themselves, where do we see them, what type of financial opportunities they might have through the revenue share that will kick in starting July 1st, through other avenues. They'll also probably talk about what opportunities they think they might have outside of UW. And I think that all of us know there's really going to be very few teams that are just like isolated, right? That I don't know who's going to have no one in the portal. And I think on the same token, it's a matter of making sure that if you do lose a player in the portal or a player chooses to go in the portal, that it's a good decision for everybody. You hate to see people go in there with nowhere to go. You hate to see people go in there and then feel like they're missing out on something special. But on the same token, we also know that some people just want to go play. And they might see a better opportunity to go play somewhere else. And then on the same token, there might be other geographical decisions that go into this. And so we'll be ready for all of that. And we expect to, make some play on some guys when they enter the portal from other programs. And then we also would expect that we're going to have to fight hard to make sure that we keep our team in check. And we're looking forward to doing that.
As you know, do you have players that have either been contacted directly or indirectly by other teams?
I'm sure I do. I don't know exactly who they are, or maybe I do. But yeah, of course that's going on, right? It's the nature of the beast that we're living in right now. We are living in a world where the deregulation of college football has turned it into a little bit of a the wild, wild west, as people like to call it. There's opportunities for collectives to reach out to players on your team and others and legally do it. They're a third-party group that are not regulated. There's opportunities for high school coaches to reach out to staff and say, is this somebody you're interested in? Now, people can claim that they don't answer the question, but I think that would be probably people not telling the truth. I think you can see that there's people out there that are, they have a lot of friends on other teams, and they reach out. And the key is for our team, which I talk to our guys about, is let's spend 6 days focusing on trying to beat Oregon. Let's just do that. And let's not worry about who's reaching out and who's trying to get what and what money looks like and what negotiations look like. And let's do everything we possibly can to beat Oregon. And then when next week comes, signing day is the 4th, portal opens the 9th. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of discussions. And at that point in time, we can really visit on what is it going to look like in the future. What's the 2025 calendar year going to look like? and what's the team going to look like moving forward.
Have you noticed that the kind of way the NFL is structured with quarterback, left tackle, cornerback, is that the same kind of prioritization you have when you're looking at how to allocate resources in that sense?
Yeah, I think that it's certainly every program is going to make a decision on how they want to handle, let's call it, the pot of money that they've received through revenue share. And each program is going to determine where they value those dollars, just like in the NFL. Some general managers build their program from the inside out. If you were to talk to Howie Roseman, he would tell you that the biggest investments he liked to make is in the offensive and defensive line, and then followed up by quarterback, and then trade for skill guys. There's other general managers out there that are going to be extremely excited about getting an elite wide receiver or an elite tackle or an elite runner. I think everybody's different. For us, what we need to do is we're recognizing the transition from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten starts up front. And when we look at our games and how we've played, we see that there's some size differential between us and the top, call it 6 or 7 programs that have been recruiting in the Big Ten for years and years. So we need to use resources to make sure that we get big. And how quickly we can get big will be the test. We're going to certainly build it through the draft, as I like to say, or through high school recruiting. We are going to sign as many big linemen as we can on both sides of the ball. But we also know that that's where, if you want to win the Big Ten conference, you got to win it with size. And that's where it's going to look, and that's what it's going to look like here in the future.
Visiting Autzen, what have your experiences been like, and have you won there?
I've only played there once. Played when we were at UCLA. We played Oregon and beat Oregon but it was at the Rose Bowl. Played at Autzen when we were at Arizona in 2021. And, it's quite an atmosphere. It's got great energy, good music, and they certainly know how to get after it. There's no question there. So I expect it to be really loud. I expect it to be certainly a challenge for communication, and we're working really hard at that. You can probably hear our speakers going to make sure that our guys do a great job of communicating. And I expect it to be a hostile environment and a hostile crowd. And when you bring the rival to the other team's stadium, I would expect it to be a little nasty. I would expect it to be very loud, and I expect it to be a big challenge for our team that we're looking forward to.
Jedd, this game will likely have a bearing on your bowl game. And you're almost faced with maybe not going to California for maybe the first time in a long time outside of COVID here. Is it important to end up in California? This might be the closest you get there, depending on where you go with your bowl game.
California, Vegas, all those areas are big recruiting hotbeds for us. So, those are great opportunities. There's a lot of bowl games. I know they were in Texas a couple years ago at the Alamo Bowl. So we followed them. I know it was the Washington-Texas game in 22, and then it was the Arizona-Oklahoma game in 23. So, there's the bowl games that you'd expect to play in are either going to be in California, Texas, or Vegas. So we'll just wait and see how that all plays out. I think there's a lot more that goes into it other than our game against Oregon. I think we're going to have to see what happens in the Big 12, or is there any of the Pac-12 teams that make it, whether that be Arizona State or Colorado. So we're just going to try to control our own destiny by playing really well Saturday, and then see what team wants, see what bowl game chooses us, and then we're going to go out there and try to make that a championship month of December and a championship game wherever we go.
Fans like to say that Autzen's the loudest stadium in college football.
Who says that?
Oregon fans like to say that. What's the loudest college football stadium you've been in?
University of Washington, Husky Stadium. All right, have a good one.